Let's give our praises to the Most High, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in the ancient Hebrew is the Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the elders of GMS who taught us this truth by the Holy Spirit. Honors to the brothers risking their life and freedom to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the elect, who would be the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel, according to scripture and prophecy. The elect would be 1/3 of the Israelites, who in the last days will return back to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, while the 2/3 of Israel who don't turn back to the Most High in time be destroyed with America, and that's according to prophecy. So we back with another lesson through the mercy of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. The lesson is going to be titled, Don't Take No Chances with the Lord. So yeah, that's the title of the lesson. Don't take no chances with the Lord. When it comes to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, don't take no chances, don't take no risk, just play it safe. And the reason for this lesson, the group, one of the big Hebrew Israelite groups, which is known as, God damn it, bro. I don't have to clear my throat till I start teaching. Anyways, one of the big Hebrew Israelite groups known as Sakari, people know that they split. And another group is formed named Genesis. Now, they've been doing a lot of changes to the doctrine. And one of the most recent changes, they're now teaching that the Gentile heathen nations can be saved with the Israelites, that they can receive salvation with the Israelites. The actual Edomites, Moabites, the actual heathen Gentile nations gonna actually go up into the chariots and receive salvation. Now they do say the heathen Gentile nations are gonna be our servants in the kingdom, but that they can accept the truth and receive salvation and go up into the chariots. They teaching that, and that's completely false. Now, the reason I titled the lesson, Don't Take No Chances with the Lord, don't take no risk. It's best to play it safe, is the way that they're trying to present this new teaching. They trying to they presenting it in a way like they trying to tiptoe around the Lord's judgment. They trying to word it very carefully in a way that they can escape judgment if they're wrong. They trying to word it in a way that the Lord won't hold them accountable. That's why I titled the lesson, Don't Take No Risks with the Lord, Don't Take No Chances. But it's best to play it safe. If you got to tiptoe around the words of the Lord, like you're trying to escape judgment, at the possibility of what you're doing even leads to a judgment, you need to leave it alone. But we're going to show what we mean. So this is the dude's video, and let's read what they put in the beginning of their lesson. Check this out. Let's say we are wrong by teaching all nations can receive salvation. We stand before God and He says only Israel can be saved. What would our punishment be on Judgment Day? So that's the thing. If you're gonna do something and it's a chance you may be wrong, don't do it. Don't take that risk. Play it safe. Same thing with the microchip, which is the mark of the beast. Even if I didn't believe the microchip wasn't the mark of the beast, but because that's being taught by certain people, even if I didn't believe it was the mark of the beast, just because I heard it might be the mark of the beast, I'm not going to get the microchip. That's an example of playing it safe, not taking no risk. But these guys here, they taking a huge risk trying to switch up the doctrine all of a sudden. And we're going to play some of this video because it only gets worse from here. Like, you really tempting the Lord at this point. But again, if you got to word things a certain way, if judgment is on the back of your mind, don't take the risk. You could take a risk with man. You could take a chance with man. But don't bring that and don't play with Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah. But check this out.
So let me ask y'all this. Here's an honest question. This isn't necessarily a appeal to anybody's emotions, but this is something that you have to take into consideration. Let's say we, the priest and Hassad, are wrong by saying that all nations can receive salvation. Let's say we're wrong on that. And we stand before God and he says, hey, you guys were teaching that all people can believe in God and keep Torah. You guys were wrong about that. Only Israelites can be saved. What would you guys think our punishment would be on Judgment Day? I'm interested. I'm going to look at the comments just momentarily. What do you guys think the judgment would be?
And then that's very irresponsible. Y'all supposed to be men of the Lord, got this big following, and you want to try something new, but you still concerned about judgment. Okay, if you're trying something new and concerned that there might be a small chance of judgment, you need to keep that to yourself and not lead the sheep astray. But then he goes to the audience, people that he's teaching. You're supposed to be teaching these people. You should know more than them. So you're going to people who know less than you to ask them what do they think the judgment would be. So these guys taking all kind of risks and using no wisdom whatsoever. I think reckless is the best word I could use. They being really reckless with their teaching and with the doctrine. Again, goes on to ask the audience, the people that they teach, what do they think the judgment would be? If I think there's a chance of judgment that comes after what I'm about to do, I'm going to just not do it. Plain and simple. But let's continue.
I'll look for a few seconds, but I want y'all to honestly ask yourselves that. We're still telling people to keep the commandments, that we're the Israelites, we're not believing in the Trinity, all of that. But we just taught other people about God too, and told them to keep Torah.
And this lesson is not about, because that sounds good, right? They still teaching with the Israelites, teaching our people to keep the commandments. They just teaching that all nations can receive salvation. Sounds good, right? Well, video is not about what they're teaching. It's about how they're going about it. If there's a chance a judgment comes behind what you're doing, don't risk it. If you got to guess, speculate, drop it. If there's a maybe, a what if, drop it. And we're going to show in the scriptures that maybe and what if, that's of the devil and Satan. Drop it.
Somebody said there wouldn't be a punishment. Nothing. Nada. Nothing. So even if we're wrong, there's more than likely nothing bad that could happen to us in the eye.
He said if they're wrong, more than likely nothing bad is going to happen. So what he's saying behind that, there's a very small chance that something could happen to them. And that's the thing. When it comes to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, if it's even a small, slight 1%, 0.5% chance that it could lead to judgment, don't do it. The scriptures say the Lord is not mocked. Yahweh Shai said, don't tempt the Lord. Because the Lord is about making that small 1% chance happening. The Lord is about making the things that you think wouldn't happen, happen. The Lord is about that. But let's take this back real quick so we can hear him one more time. Matter of fact, we go back here.
Yourselves that. We're still telling people to keep the commandments, that we're the Israelites, we're not believing in the Trinity, all of that. But we just taught other people about God too, and told them to keep Torah. Somebody said there wouldn't be a punishment. Nothing, nada, nothing. So even if we're wrong, there's more than likely not nothing bad that could happen to us in the eyes of God in terms of judgment.
So I really don't care if they right or wrong, or if they're going to receive a judgment because of this or not. It's about how they're going about it. He said more than likely nothing is going to happen to them if they're wrong. With this, we got to be 100%, not 99%, not more than likely. That's too big of a risk when you think about the nuclear destruction, the judgments that the Lord got set up. That ain't nothing to play with. That ain't nothing to play with at all. In another example, hey, what if people out there have the mentality, what if the microchip is not the mark of the beast? You know, maybe there's a small chance, a very, very small chance, the RFID microchip is not the mark of the beast. But there's a small chance that that could be correct. Well, I'm not going to take that risk. I don't care if it's a oops, excuse me, 0.0000001% chance. I'm not playing with the lake of fire. I'm not playing with the Lord's judgment. I don't care how small of a risk it is. That's not nothing to play with. Because what you think won't happen, the Lord is about making it happen. The Lord is about doing the unexpected. So if somebody say, what if the microchip is not the mark of the beast? But there's a small chance it might be. Well, that small enough chance is all the reason I need to stay away from the mark. Plain and simple. Because we the risk and the benefit, or the risk and the penalty, the penalty is too great. The lake of fire is too horrific of a judgment to be playing with something, saying, more than likely nothing's going to happen, or there's a small, very small chance something could happen. The penalty is too great. It ain't worth the risk. So we're going to start here, the book of Luke, chapter 4, verse 8, very straight to the point. Yahweh shall answer and said unto him, get thee behind me, Satan. For it is written, thou shalt worship Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai thy God, and him only thou shalt serve. And he brought him to Jerusalem, and set him on the pinnacle of the temple, and said unto him, if thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down from thence. So Satan is tempting the Most High by telling Yahweh Shai, jump off the cliff. So when you read in between the lines, he's pretty much telling Yahweh Shai to be reckless, take a risk, jump off, being really reckless. The same idea is more than likely nothing is going to happen to you. More than likely, if you jump off this cliff, the angels are going to get you. More than likely. But there's a small chance that it might not happen. See, that's the devil and Satan that capitalize on that small chance of it going the other way. So let's continue. For it is written, he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee. And that's tempting the Lord, first of all, because you don't just put yourself in danger, or do something reckless, knowing and expecting the Lord is going to deliver you from it, or skip over you in judgment. And in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. And this is a metaphor for you stumbling over the word. Because who's that rock? Who's that stumbling block? That's Yahweh Shai. That's the word. And that's what these guys are doing. They done already dashed thy foot against a stone. Yahweh Shai answering said unto him, it is said, thou shalt not tempt Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai thy God. And what was the temptation? Telling him to jump off the cliff and the angels are going to save you. That's tempting the Lord. You don't just intentionally do something reckless and careless and purposely be irresponsible because you just know the Lord got you. That's not using wisdom. The purpose of wisdom is to avoid danger, avoid making foolish mistakes. So yeah, and what they're doing, they're tempting the Lord. Because what did they say? Let's say they are wrong in judgment. And he said, what y'all think my punishment gonna be? He said, more than likely, nothing is gonna happen. Let's go back to it.
Even if we're wrong, there's more than likely not nothing bad that could happen to us in the eyes of God. In terms,
See that? They tempting the Lord. They done already dashed their foot against a stone. They stumbling over the word. Now they jumping head first with this new doctrine that they teaching. They going head first. And head first is a metaphor for going all the way in. They going all the way in with this new doctrine. The mindset behind it, nothing is more than likely not going to happen. That's the devil and of Satan. And now when we jump here to the book of Revelation 22 and 18, we're going to show what they doing. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book. If any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. They're adding to the book. They're trying to add the heathen Gentile nations to the promises that were only promised to the Israelites. You're adding to the book. And they're also guilty of this, verse 19. And they've been guilty of this. And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, God shall take away his part out the book of life, and out the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book. They're trying to remove all of Paul's writings. They're trying to remove Mark. I think they ain't question about John the Baptist. So they're trying to remove all these things from the book. But not only that, when you add to the book, you're also taking away from it at the same time. When you try to add the heathen Gentile nations to the promises written in the book, at the same time, you're taking away from the book. For example, if we got a car that can only fit 4 people, if I add one person to the car, that's going to push out somebody else. That's the same thing they do with these teachings. When you add to it, you're also taking away from it, so they guilty of both. So when you add to the book, the Lord says he's going to add plagues, add the plagues that are written in this book, and when you take away, your name's going to be taken out the book of life. So the Lord's going to plague them and take their name out the book. Because when you give to your one, you give to your both. So that's what they're doing. And to have a mindset, more than likely, nothing is not going to happen. Hey, that's reckless, careless, unwise, really stupid. And again, you're tempting the Lord. Now, let me go back in this video a little more. You go here, and let's play this real quick.
say we, the priest and Hassad, are wrong by saying that all nations can receive salvation. Let's say we're wrong on that. And we stand before God, and he says, hey, you guys were teaching that all people can believe in God and keep Torah. You guys were wrong about that. Only Israelites can be saved. What would you guys think our punishment would be on Judgment Day? I'm interested. I'm going to look at the comments just momentarily. What do you...
Then he goes on to present this new doctrine. Then he asks the people, what do y'all think our punishment would be? Hey, what the people think don't matter. What we think, being the men of the Lord and the teachers, don't matter. The opinions of the people, even our own opinion, it don't matter. Now, we're going to jump a little forward in this video. I think we're going to go about here. Check this out.
Nothing. Nada. Nothing. So even if we're wrong, there's more than likely not nothing bad that could happen to us in the eyes of God. In terms...
So he asked the people, what do they think their judgment will be? His own opinion is he thinks nothing is going to happen. Well, that's why the Lord said this in Isaiah 55 and 7. Let the wicked forsake his way. And this way is not what you do in the flesh. This is your way of thinking. That's why right after it says, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Forsake your thoughts because they wicked. Your thoughts, your opinions, what you think, what you feel, what you believe is wicked if it's not in line with the scriptures. It says, and let whom return unto the Lord that's in your mind by thinking what's in line with the scriptures, and he will have mercy upon him. And to our God, for he will abundantly pardon. So, yeah, he's even wicked. The thoughts and opinions of man are wicked. You got to forsake what you think, what you believe. How you think, what you believe, your opinion should be in line with the scriptures. Not what the audience thinks, not what you feel. Goes on to say, for my thoughts are not your thoughts. Because let's take this back. We're gonna go listen to him.
Nothing, nada, nothing. So even if we're wrong, there's more than likely not nothing bad that could happen to us in the eyes of God.
He said if they're wrong, nothing could happen to them. More than likely, nothing can happen to them in the eyes of God. But you're not the Most High. You can't speak for the Most High. You can't say what he thinks, how he feels. You can't speak on how he's going to judge. We can only speak on what the Lord thinks, how he feels, or how he's going to judge when it's out of the scriptures. But when you're not speaking according to the scriptures, you can't speak anything on the Lord. That's why it goes on to say, for my thoughts are not your thoughts. You said more than likely nothing is going to happen in the eyes of the Lord. The Lord said your thoughts are not his thoughts. How man see things is not how the Lord sees things. Especially when your thinking and your mindset is not in line with the scriptures. It says, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. So you go to ask the audience, what do they think the judgment will be? And you say more than likely nothing is going to happen in the eyes of the Lord. That's crazy. For as the heavens are higher than earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. So you can't speak on what the Lord gonna do when it comes to your judgment. For you being wrong and taking a risk and being reckless and trying to switch up the doctrine. And then they're also doing this when you come to the book of Matthew 5 and 37. Very straight to the point. But let your communication be yeah, nay, nay. So when you teach, it should be no gray area. It's black or white. Either the Gentile nations can be saved or they can't be saved. For what you're doing, for teaching wrong, for teaching, false doctrine, you're either going to be judged or you're not going to be judged. And that's how it is just with the truth in general. It's yay or nay, yeah or no, no in between. For whatsoever is more than these cometh evil. So anything besides a yeah or a no, that's of the devil and Satan. And we're going to show that. That's of the devil and Satan. It should be a yeah or a no, because anything else, you speaking from the heart. And what the Lord say, forsake your thoughts, for they are wicked. I think it's the book of Jeremiah. It say that the heart is deceitful above all things. Who could know it? Matter of fact, I'm going to have to get that real quick. Damn. Bear with me one moment. We're going to come to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 9. How can I make this smaller? Anyways, Jeremiah 17:9, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? What's your heart? That's the mind. That's why the Lord said himself, let your yeah be yeah and your no be your no. Whatsoever is more than these cometh evil. Why? Because you're going to speak from the heart. That's deceitful and desperately wicked. Your thoughts, your opinions, what you feel is of the devil and Satan. But see, that what if, that maybe, what if this, maybe this, that's of the devil and Satan. That's the extra usually that comes when somebody says yeah or no. You know, if they say maybe, what if, that's of the devil and Satan. They trying to play on the imagination. And that's what they doing, trying to play on the imagination. What if we wrong, but nothing don't happen? More than likely, it's not gonna happen. Satan sort of did the same thing, you know, being a serpent. That's why when we come to the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 3. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God said, ye should not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest ye die. And the Lord displayed what? He let his yes be his yes and his no be his no. It was black and white, no gray area. He said, you touch it, you're going to die. Not, you're going to die later, you're going to die future generations from now. It wasn't no in between, it wasn't no extra. He said, you touch it, you shall die. See what the serpent did. The serpent said it to the woman, you shall not surely die. But you shall not surely die, that's not the part that caught Eve's attention. It was the what if and the maybes that was presented by the serpent that caught Eve's attention, and we could prove it. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So now Eve is looking like, damn, maybe I'll be a god. What if I know good and evil? So it's the what if and the maybe that the serpent used to play on her mind, which Esau, the white man, does today. That's what Genesis and them is doing today. What if we wrong, but nothing happens? And I didn't play the rest of it because there's no point. He said, what if y'all wrong for not trying to save the other nations? He said that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna have to get that now. Hold on.
In terms of judgment. Think about that. Now, let's get to the next slide.
That's the serpent. That was the serpent pretty much said. Think about that. The Lord knows you be as gods knowing good and evil, but let's continue.
Let's say most of our people are wrong in their ideology saying that only Israelites can be saved. Imagine if you're saying only Israelites can be saved.
See that? Hey, them the key words I needed. He said imagine. So he's playing on the imagination. That's what the serpent was doing, playing on the imagination. And then he said, let's say y'all are wrong. That's pretty much saying, what if? What if y'all are wrong and we are right? That's what he's doing. So let's see the conclusion of this. For God doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes should be open. So that's what the serpent is saying. Let's say your eyes are open. What if your eyes are open? Imagine this. You shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. That's what the serpent was doing. Playing on Eve's imagination. And then what are we doing? Matter of fact, let's continue. So the serpent playing on Eve's imagination, that's what got her attention. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise. So her eyes being open, knowing good and evil. That's her being wise. The serpent playing on her imagination. That's what got her to eat of the forbidden fruit, which again was not a literal fruit. She took of the fruit thereof and did eat, gave also to her husband with her, and he did eat. And you see, her Eve's reasoning, it was good for food, pleasant to the eyes, a tree to be desired to make one wise. That's what the serpent told her. She didn't desire the fruit because the serpent said, you should not surely die. That wasn't part of her reasoning for eating it. It was what he said after it. God doth know that your eyes should be open. Let's say your eyes are open. Imagine you being as the Most High, knowing good and evil. It was that got her attention. And that's pretty much what they doing now. Pay no imagination. What if it is? What if it ain't? What if it do happen? What if it don't happen? What if we don't get away? What if we do get away? When it comes to the Lord, what ifs, maybes, could be, don't take that chance with the Lord. And that's what these devils gonna do when they bring you that RFID microchip and a lot more stuff to come. You know, the persecution when the devil make war against the saints. They gonna use a lot of what ifs and maybes, etc. That's of the devil and Satan. Don't fall for it. Me personally, my mindset used to be tormented by what if this, what if that. I'm gonna do another lesson on it. Me, I don't believe in what ifs. What ifs and maybes don't exist to me. It's a yeah or no. It's everything is black and white with me. And this is the book of, we're gonna get this real quick. We're gonna come to the book of 2 Corinthians 10 and 5. Because we're not here to play on anybody's imaginations. The Lord ain't here to play with your imagination. And that's why, how can I make this smaller? That's why it says this. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of the Most High, bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Mashiach. So we casting down imaginations. What if this? What if that? Maybe this. Let's say this. Let's say that. What if it do? What if it don't? And how do you cast it down? By the truth. Your yeah be your yeah, and your no be your no. We either know it or we don't know it. Everything that we need to know concerning salvation, the Lord has revealed it. If there's something we don't know, it's because it wasn't revealed to us. But we're going to jump here real quick. This is the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 3, very straight to the point. Talk no more, exceedingly proud. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. And that's arrogant what they are doing. This is the point. For the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, is a God of knowledge. And by him, actions are weighed. But see, he's a God of knowledge. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is a God of knowledge. Let's look up this word knowledge in the Hebrew. Let's look up this word knowledge. Knowledge, H1844. It says knowledge of God. You got knowledge of man and you got knowledge of God. Now, let's look up the word knowledge. Facts, information, understanding. But this is what knowledge means. Become known to someone. Knowledge pretty much means to know. So Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, he's a God of knowledge. Not a God of what if or maybe or hearsay, let's say. And matter of fact, I'm going to grab this too. I believe this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 2, verse 6. Because the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, is a God of knowledge. And that's why he say this. No, that's not it. Hold on real quick. Well, I'll get that in another lesson. So we will continue. So he's a God of knowledge. Again, a God of knowledge. Which means to know. No second guessing. No speculation. And that's why 1 First Corinthians 2:11 say this: For what man knoweth the things of a man, save the spirit of a man which is in him? So can't nobody know what you think in your thoughts and opinions but yourself. It says, even so, the things of God knoweth no man but the Spirit of God. See that? So don't nobody know the thoughts, the opinions, the judgments of the Lord except the Lord Himself. That's why it says, but the Spirit of God. Now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of God. So don't nobody know the things of the Lord except the Spirit of the Lord Himself. But the Lord have gave us a portion of His Spirit so we can know the things that He know, according to what's revealed in the scriptures through the prophets, that we might know. Not guess, not second guessing, not speculating, not what if, not maybe. It said that we might know the things that are freely given to us of God. So these things were revealed. Salvation, who it's for, how to receive it. And again, we receive the Spirit of the Lord, which is why we know these things concerning salvation. Because again, the Lord is a God of knowledge, a God of knowledge. And we receive not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit of the Lord Himself, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of the Most High. And that's concerning salvation. And that's why when we get this in 1 John 2:20, but ye have an unction from the Holy One, and you know all things. We know all things when it comes to salvation. We know all things when it comes to the destruction, the mark of the beast. And all things meaning what? Perfect understanding, we know perfectly well of what's required for salvation and what'll get you destroyed. Perfect understanding on what the mark of the beast is. But see that? You have an unction from the Holy One. And what's that unction from the Holy One? That's the Spirit of the Lord. That we might know these things. Again, 1 Corinthians 2:12. Now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of the Most High. That's the unction from the Holy One. And what it say? You know all things. Meaning what? All things revealed in this book. By the prophets. That includes salvation, what it's for, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. We know those things. And anything that's not in that wasn't revealed in the scriptures, we don't know it, and it's not for us to know. This is the book of Galatians 6:7. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. And they mocking the Lord. Let's show it.
But we just taught other people about God too, and told them to keep Torah. Somebody said there wouldn't be a punishment. Nothing. Nada. Nothing. So even if we're wrong, there's more than likely not nothing bad that could happen to us in the eyes of God.
That's crazy. No fear of the Lord whatsoever. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that he shall also reap. And what are you sowing? No fear of the Lord, arrogance, speaking proudly, tempting the Lord. So what you're going to reap? A judgment. And that's why the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, say what? Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter my sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord. Therefore, thus says the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, God of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people, you have scattered my flock and driven them away. What did you feed the people? BS, false doctrine, lies. You being a serpent to them. You playing on their imagination. And it's going to be some people out there, you know what? What if the other nations can be saved? People's minds going to go there. Eve's mind went there. And they doing the same thing the serpent was doing. I will visit you upon the evil of your doings, saith the Lord. So what? You scattering the sheep, meaning you leading them farther and farther away from the truth. But yeah, hey, the Lord is not mocked. You tempting the Lord. And again, it's not what they teaching. Yes, it's off. It's not correct. But it's how they're going about it. You know, with man, you can do that. You can take a chance. You can take chances. You can tiptoe. You can be risky with man. Not with Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah. Don't tempt the Lord. So again, if you got to second guess, if you got to question, if you got to speculate, if you got to use your imagination, if you got to say what if, maybe, if it's not a yes or no, if it's not definite, if it's not black or white, hey, drop it. Because what if it is, what if it ain't? But what if you end up in a lake of fire, which is 100 million degrees Celsius, 180 million degrees Fahrenheit? That's 9 digits. I'm not taking no chances when it come to that. So Lord Wooden, that was informative, edifying. Till next time, Shalom.